A relationship with the right referral partner could be a game changer for any B2B company. So what if you could reverse engineer these relationships at a moment's notice? Start a podcast, invite potential referral partners to be guests on your show, and grow your referral network faster than ever. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to the B2B Growth Show, a podcast dedicated to helping B2B executives achieve explosive growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. I'm James Carberry.
And I'm Jonathan Green.
Let's get into the show. Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. We are here today with JJ Kardwell. He is the CEO of EverString. JJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you today, JJ. We're going to be talking about operationalizing ABM today. We're going to specifically be talking about how you operationalize it by overlapping fit, intent, and engagement. Justin, I feel like I learned the master's degree equivalent of ABM just in our pre-call. So I'm stoked for our listeners to get to get insight into your brain a bit, because it was incredibly valuable. But before we dive into that, I'd love for you to tell listeners, what is EverString? What are you guys up to over there? And how do you serve customers?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me again. So EverString's a marketing and sales intelligence software company. We're the foundation for that is truly automated data science and the most reliable data. And we focus as much on the data components as we do on the data science. And we support go-to-market teams broadly, marketing, sales, ops teams, marketing sales ops, sales development teams, as well as advanced analytics and data science teams within B2B organizations.
I love it. And JJ, as we were talking offline, this topic of operationalizing ABM, you were talking about why this is something you're so passionate about and why this is a conversation that needs to be had. Can you elaborate a bit on that, kind of on the why? And then I want to dive into each one of these pieces and how they all work together.
Yeah, happy to. So, I talk to go-to-market leaders at massive companies, at mid-sized companies, at small companies every single week. And the topic of using account-based strategies, account-based sales development, account-based sales, account-based marketing, account-based go-to-market broadly is an extremely current topic. Folks are very interested in ways to be more focused in their resource allocation, and account-based strategies can be very helpful there. The challenge tends to be companies often get lost in the massive pile of technologies they can buy, in the broad array of strategies they can deploy, and they struggle a lot of times to get all the different teams within their organizations to see the value, right? Oftentimes, account-based strategies end up being something that marketing's doing or something that sales development's doing, and unless you really have a unified buy-in around the value, unless it's really easy for teams to see the value, it's often very difficult to see any results. So, I'm a big believer that things need to be simple, things need to be intuitive, and it needs to be really obvious to all the different internal groups within your go-to-market team that it's something worth investing effort in. Set aside the cost investments.
I love it. Okay, so I want to dive into each one of these. Let's talk first about fit. How do you guys, when you say the term fit, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So one of the most important things in doing any account-based strategy, step one for any strategy is target account selection, right? So if you said, which company should we focus on, right? And if you only sell the Fortune 100, it's relatively easy to do that. But if you have a mid-size or larger addressable market, it's more complex to do, and using applied data science or machine learning to do that can be really helpful. Fit data is about what is the profile of the company. It can range from revenue or location or industry, and not just high-level industries, but the real nuances of what does this company really do? What's the profile of the team? What are the backgrounds of the team? What sort of hiring and job openings? What are the technologies that they use? All of the different signals that are available. And for companies that are big enough to have a website, there can be tens of thousands of signals that can go into profiling a business. And fit is really about how similar is a potential prospect to my existing customers or to my ideal customer profile, right? Fit data is used to help filter things through that ideal customer profile.
Got it. Okay. So that's fit. And we're talking about overlapping fit with both engagement and intent. So let's talk about engagement now.
Yeah.
Is that there? I feel like that's such a buzzword now. Everybody is throwing that word around. What do you mean by it when you talk about it in this context?
Yeah. In the simplest sense, it is the interactions that are directly with your company, right? For many demand gen marketers, they're using marketing automation to track engagement, right? Visitors to your website, folks who do form fills, sign up for events. Those are core engagement. It's really that first-party behavioral data, and that's the marketing automation as a category has been around now for over 10 years. So for a lot of demand gen marketers, they really intuitively understand engagement, perhaps best of all, right? If folks are engaged, they tend to nurture them and pursue them with retargeting and email nurture and others. So that's engagement.
Okay, so we've talked about fit, we've got engagement. And now let's talk about intent.
Yeah. So intent in its simplest form is engagement that is not with you, right? It's third-party behavioral data. It's the potential buyer they're out looking at competitive offerings to yours on product review sites. They're going and reading blog posts about the product category that you sell or offer. So you could have companies that don't respond to your form of engagement marketing, that don't know that your company even exists. They're not coming to your site. They're not in your database, but they could be out engaging with very relevant content. So now, does it tell you they're definitely going to buy? No, just like engagement data doesn't tell you someone's definitely going to buy, but the intent data tells you they're more likely to engage with you, and it can be really powerful, a really powerful indicator of potential for a buying cycle.
Got it. Okay, so now that we've covered the kind of the definitions of those, I hope listeners are starting to get the picture that when you start to overlap these, when you're looking at fit, you look at engagement, you look at intent. Imagine having your reps, having your team come in every day and knowing, being able to work accounts that are prioritized with those three things overlapped. Can you talk to us about kind of the power that happens whenever you can start to do that?
Yeah. It is overlapping those three, giving your marketing teams, your program managers, your sales and sales development teams, your reps, visibility into those three things. It is perhaps the most powerful thing you can do in executing account-based go-to-market. So, I have conversations all the time with executives who's, they want to understand what is it that EverString does and what should be their goals from an account-based standpoint. And it's, I always say to them, could your marketing leaders, could your sales leaders, could your sales development leaders, if you ask them if they were going to reach out to one prospect, one company, send one email or make one call today, to which company would it be? And if they can't answer that, or if your teams couldn't answer that, or they wouldn't answer it in a consistent way across them, or the individual reps out on their teams couldn't or wouldn't, then how do teams make that resource allocation decision every day? And the best way to answer that, the best way to give your team a way to answer that and to make those good decisions out in the field is by overlapping fit, engagement, and intent. So by doing that, you'd say every single week as the intent surge data refreshes, by rep, by territory, or on your marketing team for program managers based on the sectors or types of programs they're covering, but let's think specifically within the rep context. Each week when they show up on Monday morning, they're able to look and start by saying, okay, what companies have the highest fit, as in which ones are most similar to my existing customers, that also have had engagement inside of some defined period. For us, we look in the last 60 days, and which in the last 2 weeks have also been surging on intent. So for us, close to 70% of our closed won business flows through this real simple dashboard where we monitor fit, engagement, and intent. Meaning the companies that end up buying from us at some point, they certainly had high fit, they look like our existing customers, and then they were exhibiting those behavioral signals, both the first-party ones that we capture in engagement and the third-party ones that we capture in intent. it is a really powerful moment when your frontline team starts coming and saying, how do I get more of that? And then you'd say, well, great. You tier like a layer cake. You'd say start with those with high fit, high engagement intent, and then once you've dispositioned or actioned all those, then you'd go next to, for many companies, they go next to those with high fit and high intent, then they'd go to next to those with high fit and high engagement, and so on until they've filled their capacity for the day. And it's really the most rational way to allocate your go-to-market resources, and it's a really intuitive way to enable your team to see how those three types of data can help guide their activities.
I love it. So JJ, you mentioned something offline that I think would be really helpful. Getting one level more granular here. You shared the tech stack that you guys use to be able to overlap these three things, to overlap fit, intent, engagement. Can you share the specific tools that you guys are using that are enabling you guys to do this?
Yeah, happy to. I'll share the main components of our full sales and marketing tech stack, and I'll talk about the exact places where we overlap those signals. So we use Salesforce for CRM. We use Marketo for marketing automation. We use our own platform, EverString, for marketing sales intelligence, and that includes the predictive marketing and ideal customer profile aspects and the automated data science. We use Bombora Surge data to track intent, and then we also use Terminus for account-based ad delivery. We use Engagio for ABM orchestration. We use PFL for direct mail for executing direct mail programs. We also use Insight Squared for full funnel tracking. Now, to cross those three signals, a place where we do that is we use our own platform, EverString, to identify fit and to do fit scoring and account scoring. We use marketing automation to capture the engagement data, and then we use that intent data through the Bombora Surge for the intent. And then based on what we're seeing, we then action things. We'll use Sales Loft for sales acceleration to execute personalization at scale and our email and calling cadences out of sales development. We'll use the other acceleration type capabilities, as I mentioned, like Terminus for ad execution to help accelerate accounts where we're seeing intent but perhaps no engagement, and we want to try to create engagement. But it's really simple to cross those three. If you have marketing automation, you already have what you need from an engagement standpoint, and then through a platform like ours, or others, you can cross the fit data and the intent data natively in a single place, and then you just operationalize it in a really simple dashboard inside of Salesforce by rep, by territory. Each week it refreshes, and they just log into CRM or whatever CRM they're using, and they can see the cross of those three signals and specific accounts within their territories that are scoring high on those three dimensions. So,
JJ, you have turned something that I think is incredibly complex into something that even I was able to understand. So I really appreciate you walking us through this, defining those things, and then sharing, very practically how you guys are doing this yourselves at EverString. If there's somebody listening to this, they want to learn more about you, they want to stay connected with you, or they want to learn more about EverString, what's the best way for them to go about doing both of those things?
Sure. There's a lot of great information on our website at everstring.com. They can also follow me on Twitter at JJ Kardwell, JJ Kardwell, or EverString at EverString. And you can follow us both on LinkedIn as well. And we tend to be very transparent about the technologies and approaches we're using. We're big believers that through sharing that sort of information of how we're approaching our own stack and our own operationalizing ABM within our own business, that we help advance the broader causes and the goals that all of us as go-to-market professionals have. There's so much noise out there. There's so many places to get lost in technology spend or just information overload, and our goals try to simplify for everyone.
Wonderful. Awesome, JJ. Well, again, thank you so much for your time today. This has been fantastic, and I really appreciate it, man.
Likewise, I really appreciate you having me.
There are lots of ways to build a community, and we've chosen to build the B2B growth community through this podcast. But because of the way podcasts work, it's really hard to engage with our listeners. And without engagement, it's tough to build a great community. So here's what we've decided to do. We're organizing small dinners across the country with our listeners and guests. No sales pitches, no agenda, just great conversations with like-minded people. We'll talk business, we'll talk family, we'll talk goals and dreams. We'll build friendships. So if you'd like to be a part of a B2B growth dinner in a city near you, go to b2bgrowthdinners.com. That's b2bgrowthdinners.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.